All right, this is our last quarantine home Bible study for this week. We're going to be in Micah chapter 5. I'll give you a minute to find it because it's kind of parts of the Bible we don't look at as often, unfortunately. So Micah chapter 5 is where we're going to be. Still talking about God, the Good Shepherd. This is a beautiful passage, but it's really complicated because the prophecies in it, like a lot of prophecies, have a near, mid, and far interpretation. Micah's talking about Assyria and the deliverance from Assyria. He's also talking about Jesus, the Messiah, coming on his first time he came, and then also the future establishment of the Millennial Kingdom. He's kind of those three prophecies, those kind of timelines are all mixed together, so it's a little complicated. But we're going to look at God, the Good Shepherd, in Micah 5, and we're going to focus in on verse 4. So if you'll turn to Micah 5, we'll get started here in just a second. All right, we're going to start in verse 2. Pretty familiar Christmas time prophecy that you hear. Then we're really going to start. We're going to start in verse 2, but we're going to focus in on verse 4. Okay, so verse 2 says, "But you, Bethlehem Ephratah, though you are small among the clans of Judah, out of you will come for me one who will be ruler of Israel, whose origins are from old, from ancient times. Therefore Israel will be abandoned until a time when she who is in labor gives birth, and the rest of the brothers returns to join the Israelites." Then verse 4. He, talking about the Messiah, he will stand and shepherd his flock in the strength of the Lord, in the majesty of the name of the Lord his God, and they will live securely, for then his greatness will reach the ends of the earth, and he will be their peace. All right, so in Micah 5, I want to focus in on verse 4. But first, verse 2 is the famous Christmas prophecy about Jesus, the Messiah, being born in Bethlehem. It talks about him being from origins of old. In other words, he is the everlasting God. He's always been around. He existed before the earth was created. Verse 3 then talks about how a remnant will return from Assyria, from the captivity. They'll return. And then verse 4 talks about how he will be a shepherd over his people. So that's where we're going to focus now. So the first thing I notice in Micah verse 4, 5:4, is it says how God the Good Shepherd will stand over the flock of his people. Okay, how he will stand over his people. Okay, that's a position of authority. Okay, so he will stand over his flock. There's the flock. Okay, that's his people. In this case, it's talking about Israel, but he will stand and shepherd his flock. That's a position of authority. Okay, and then he says he's going to position in the strength. So he's going to stand in strength. Okay, so that's authority and strength. Okay, he's going to stand and shepherd his flock in authority and in strength. Okay, and in the strength of the Lord. Okay, so this is talking about the Messiah, Jesus. Okay, and it says that he will stand in the strength of the Lord. Okay, and he will shepherd his flock. Okay, and then it says, and in the majesty of the name of the Lord his God. Okay, so he's going to, in strength, authority, and majesty. Okay, and he's going to rule over his flock in strength, authority, and majesty of the Lord. Okay, he's going to shepherd over them. Okay, and then it says, and they will live securely. Okay, so here's the condition that the flock will be in. They will be secure. In times like this, that's a good reminder. They will be secure because of his greatness. So it's because of his greatness. Okay, that we will find security, that his flock will find security. And that greatness will reach all the earth. Okay, so it'll reach the ends of the earth. Okay, so draw a little picture of the earth here. Okay, so this is a prophecy about how Jesus the Messiah, that his rule will be more than just over the flock of Israel. Although then in the near term, that's what it's talking about. But that his rule will extend beyond the borders of Israel to the whole earth. Okay, and that says that they will live securely over the face of the whole earth. Okay. So the word shepherd there, by the way, when it mentions the word shepherd, it's the same as the Hebrew word for rule. Okay, so it can be translated that way, that he will shepherd and rule over his flock Israel, but that rule, that greatness will extend beyond that to cover the face of the whole earth. So this is a prophecy about Jesus the Messiah, and that the way that he will shepherd his people, and this also prophecy about how when the Messiah comes, it'll be more than just for the Jews, but that he will also be the Messiah for all peoples in all corners of the earth. That's kind of where, from here, Micah continues to talk, and he goes into some conversation about the Millennial Kingdom, and that famous prophecy about the lions laying down to the lambs is going to be found in there. And so, again, the idea, though, that's during the Messianic Kingdom, when Jesus, the Messiah shepherd, will rule over the earth. And so there's a threefold kind of way that this prophecy works, okay? Okay, there's the near. Let me get this here where you can see it. There's near, there's mid, and then there's far. Okay, so in the near future, there's going to be a remnant from Assyria that will return. Okay, that's the near. When Micah is writing this, that there's going to be a portion that will return as a remnant of the kingdom. Okay, that soon after Micah is writing this. Okay, the mid is talking about Messiah, Jesus first coming. And then the far off in the future will be is the Millennial Kingdom. So, like a lot of prophecy, you have things that are going to be happening soon, things that are going to be happening in the not too distant future, and then things that are far off in the future. Okay, and so that's what makes a lot of the, especially Old Testament prophecy, a little complicated, is because there's multiple layers of fulfillment. One way I always like to explain it is imagine like a mountain scene. Okay, so this is a big, beautiful mountain. Okay, and then you can see that mountain off in the distance. That's far off. Okay, then you might see like a little cabin, in the woods there. This is like, very much like Bob Ross, okay? And that's going to be in the mid, okay? You can hike to there, a short hike, okay? There's a little path going to it. But then up close, you see lots of grass and flowers and things like that, because that's the near, okay? So like there's threefold vision there, right? You can see what's up close, you can see what's off in the distance but it's hikeable, and then the far off distance that would take a long time to get to. That's the same way it works in prophecy. Okay, so anyway, hope that helps. We'll see you next week, and we'll talk next week about Jesus's most influential miracle, and that's raising Lazarus from the dead.